Well, somewhere in the midst of this mass of containers on this huge vessel is my old Defender on its way to Southeast Asia. And I've learned a hell of a lot about the shipping process over the past couple of months. Some of it good, and I'm afraid to say some of it rather less good. If you would like to share the benefit of some of my hard-earned lessons, well, stick around and watch the rest of this video. Well, having decided where we want to transport the vehicle, we've then got to find a shipping company or freight forwarder. And at this point I'm going to exclude certain modes of transport like air freight, also ferry transport. Great if you can get it, but generally only available on very short routes. And this leaves you with basically two options. Firstly, there's roll-on, roll-off or ro-ro. And on major routes you may well find ro-ro shippers, and on the face of it quite attractive. If they're available, they tend to be the cheapest, and also they will handle any type of vehicle. So your converted truck, your big camper, they have no problems. On the other hand, they tend to have one big drawback, and I think you'll find that almost all ro-ro operators require that the vehicle has to go empty. And this is a problem if you've got a camper or fully equipped expedition vehicle. And that basically leaves you with container transport. Now the first question, is your vehicle container transportable? It may be too big. You need to check that out. Now there's loads of freight forwarders who are sending containers all over the world, but you do want to find one which is used to handling vehicles. If you go to a general purpose freight forwarder who's normally used to dealing with household removals and so forth, you will find their lack of experience shows, and they have conditions such as that the fuel system has to be completely drained down. Now obviously you run the tanks as low as possible, but you do need to be able to drive the vehicle in and out of the container. But that still leaves quite a choice, and at the top end there's some absolutely excellent companies who specialise in such things as vintage and classic vehicles. They will get your vehicle there safely and there won't be a scratch on it, but they tend to be a little bit pricey for the likes of you and me. In the middle there's still quite a number of companies available, shipping vehicles all over the world. And at this point you need to start getting prices and need to enter into detailed discussions. But you may find that some of them have really quite restrictive terms and conditions. Point one, a number of the companies say that the owner can't be present during loading. Now surely any owner wants to see his vehicle safely driven into the container, sea fastened and the container locked up. Another point, a number of the companies won't handle any loose items whatsoever. Now in my case, the rooftop tent has to come down in order to achieve the door height. But a number of companies just simply refuse to touch that, and they would raise such objections as, well, we can't handle it because of health and safety. But you knew that you were just dealing with a very inflexible and awkward type of company, and best to go elsewhere. And finally, the prohibited goods list. Now obviously there's some items you aren't going to be transporting, like explosives and weapons and God knows what. But some companies have prohibited goods lists which will cover any port of arrival anywhere in the world. So for example, no pharmaceuticals, what means medical kit has to come out, no foodstuffs whatsoever. Well, your tinned foods, your dried pastas and so forth have to come out. No GPS equipment, no photographic equipment, and the list goes on. And it's a real pain in the butt. And it may be completely inappropriate to your port of arrival. So what you want to do is you want to find a company which is used to handling vehicles, offers a good competitive price, and also customer friendly and very flexible. After hunting around, I found one such company, a nation-owned company based in West London called Miner, and their depot is in Southall. They had a sensible price, very flexible, very customer friendly. Had no problem my being there during loading. They had no problem handling the rooftop tent and sea fastening that, and they got my business. I was very satisfied with their service. We can finally start the loading process. In my case, this starts at home where I get bulky items down from the roof rack and put them inside. And this includes the 2 aluminium roof boxes and the jerry cans. At the shipper's yard, the rooftop tent comes down, no problem. The vehicle goes up the ramp and into the container. And look how tight we are on height. The vehicle height is exactly 2.2 meters to the top of the roof rack. With a standard Defender, there's sufficient room to be able to walk down the side, and this greatly helps with doing the lashing down. The container door is shut. And finally, the customs bolts are installed. Job done. We'll see you in Malaysia.